Mike Papantonio of Ring of Fire fame is in the studio with us today. And Pap, great to have you.
Good to be here.
Great. I am. You're an attorney. I'm really curious about two things. First is, I think that I saw Mitt Romney commit a federal felony on national television the other night. He walked up to this young kid and said, "If I get elected, I'll give you a job." Isn't it a crime to offer any kind of compensation or any favor to somebody? Or
that's going to be the question at some point. If this continues, a court is going to have to answer. Look, that wasn't isolated. We all know the story. There's an all-out effort for Republican employers to intimidate employees, but they're missing something, Tom. Here's what I think a lot of people miss about this story. It's not important that you get to a criminal threshold. You don't have to. Look, we just hit Walmart. A consortium of lawyers that worked with me hit Walmart for somewhere in the neighborhood of $120 million before it's all paid out for things like that. What they're doing. Coercion. What an employer is doing to an employee when he says, if you don't vote a certain way, then you're going to lose your job. That's the coercion part. But what they're doing is extracting a value out of the employee. Right. Think about it. It's a value to say, go out, go vote this way. There's almost an analysis that I think of. I think of the employer like a Walmart, for example, who they might tell an employee, you're off the clock now. Mm-hmm. I want you to go out and sign out off of the clock. But by the way, I need 200 boxes in the back moved after you're off the clock.
Well, that's what Walmart was doing.
That's exactly what they were doing. That's exactly what they were doing. So I think of that. I think of an employer who sexually enslaves an employee, not overtly. Maybe they don't. Most
You're talking about sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment cases. Most of those are not. They're not overt. They're not do this or. They're the implicit. They're the suggestion. And I look at, if I'm an employer and I know that you have guys like me and some of the best lawyers in this country that are already looking. What does the lawsuit look like? Mm-hmm. When you bring a lawsuit and you say, for example, to the coal miners, the story up in the Murray Energy in Ohio,
right,
where the coal miners were told, look, if you don't give to this PAC, you might not have a job.
Right, or please show up for this photo op.
That's right. That's right.
They didn't even have to say, if you don't show up, you will be fired.
That's right. So juries don't look, everybody in some capacity has worked in their lives. Everybody has experienced that idea of being under the man's thumb, so to speak. Right. But when you put them on a jury and you say, this is what they did. They told this employee that if you don't vote Republican, if you don't vote Mitt Romney, you might not be able to feed your children next month. Because we might take your job. You may not be able to pay for health care because we might take your job. How much more draconian can you get? So I got to tell you, the people I'm talking about that I've tried cases with that are very similar to this, a company needs to pay attention before they just say, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah. Now, what this is getting to is this beyond, my semi-joke about did Mitt Romney commit a federal felony by telling this kid he'd give him a job. Is Mitt Romney back in June talking to the National Association of Independent Businesses, I guess it was, NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses, and saying, well, here's the actual clip. This is Mitt Romney.
I hope you make it very clear to your employees what you believe is in the best interest of your enterprise, and therefore hope you pass those along to your employees.
Right, and then he goes on to say, oh, and by the way, while it used to be a crime for you to do that under actually U.S. Code 441B, which says about corporations or political funds, quote, it shall be unlawful to make a contribution or expenditure by utilizing money or anything of value secured by physical force, job discrimination, financial reprisals, or the threat of forced job discrimination or financial reprisals to influence voters. That's also Section 101 of the 1101 of the Labor Code makes it a crime for CEOs to engage in actions, quote, controlling or directing or tending to control or direct the political activities or affiliations of employees, end quote. Additionally, Labor Law Section 1102 says, quote, employers may not coerce employees to adopt a particular course of political action. And then back to Title II Chapter 14, Subchapter 1, the law that I was reading earlier, this is a piece that Shano tracked down and highlighted. Anything of value secured by physical force. Well, I guess that's the one I just read to you. Yeah. So this is what Citizens United knocked down. Mike Papantonio.
They might have knocked it down. Now
Romney's asserting this.
Well, listen. When Romney says this is my opinion of the law.
Well, here, in fact, let's listen to how Romney said it. Here he is.
Nothing illegal about you talking to your employees about what you believe is best for the business.
Yeah.
Listen,
there you go.
I'm not, when I'm taking legal advice from somebody who stores their money offshore, or legal advice from somebody who hustles a blind trust in a way that is completely illegal, I'm suspect from the beginning. But Tom, let me answer it this way, okay? In every major lawsuit that takes place in the country, the attorney bringing the case has some options. One of those options is that they can allege what they call the common law violation of the law. They can use statutory language, and they can say, listen, we're not suggesting that the criminal code has been violated, but let me show you what the standard is for the criminal code. Not only have we arrived at a standard more significant than that, but we've proven here by a preponderance of the evidence that everything that this individual did falls within the realm of the statute.
But here's the bottom line. What the Romney campaign is betting is whether this is illegal or not. And this is the same thing Karl Rove is betting. I mean, there's a very, very good probability that he's going to lose in the courts by saying that his social welfare nonprofit organization can hide his donors, right? There's a very good chance he's going to lose that. But it'll be after the election.
Right.
And if he's president, I mean, it's like, George Herbert Walker Bush won the election. It ended the investigations into the Iran-Contra and, whether or not Bush or the Reagan administration, Bill Casey had a secret deal with the Ayatollahs to keep the hostages and everything else. I mean, it's just...
Right. Well, the only reason I raised this is I'm not talking about election issues here. I'm talking about a lawyer who has 30 employees come to him and say, this is what happened to me. Do you want to bring a case? Employers doing this need to be very, very careful. That would be my advice.
Yeah, but apparently they're doing it, and the Koch brothers sent out a letter to 50,000 people. I think was the. This is pretty amazing.